What makes life truly good? Is it the pursuit of virtue, the enjoyment of simple pleasures, mastering your emotions in a world full of chaos? For centuries, the greatest minds in philosophy have searched for the answer. Aristotle told us that the good life is one lived through reason and moral excellence. Epicurus claimed it was the quiet joy of avoiding pain and embracing simplicity. The Stoics taught us to detach from what we cannot control and live in harmony with the universe. But then, Jesus entered the conversation and flipped the entire script, because while philosophers debated within the walls of academies, Jesus walked among the broken, the outcast, the forgotten, and declared something revolutionary. The good life isn't about self-mastery or self-pleasure. It's about self-giving. Think about it. We've all heard stories, or lived them, where someone gave everything, even their own life, to save another. A father who would trade places with his dying child. A stranger who runs into a burning building to rescue someone they've never met. And what's striking is not just the sacrifice, but the joy, the unshakable peace that follows such acts of love. It's as if Jesus was right all along. In this video, we'll explore three powerful philosophies that shaped the Western mind: Aristotle, Epicurus, and the Stoics. And we'll examine how their ideas align with, and at times diverge from, the radical teachings of Jesus. This isn't just an intellectual journey. It's a confrontation between reason and revelation, between philosophy and faith, and the conclusion we reach at the end. It just might change the way you live forever. So don't miss a second. First, Aristotle, Nicomachean Ethics. Aristotle, writing over 2,000 years ago in his Nicomachean Ethics, gave the world one of its most enduring answers to the question, what makes life truly good? For him, the good life is found in eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing or human fulfillment. But this isn't about momentary happiness or pleasure. Eudaimonia, according to Aristotle, is a life lived in accordance with arete, virtue. To live well, we must cultivate our character. That means developing moral virtues like courage, temperance, and justice, and intellectual virtues like wisdom and practical reasoning. It means training ourselves through action, discipline, and reflection to consistently choose what is noble over what is easy. For Aristotle, we are not just individuals. We are social, rational beings. We thrive in community. We find meaning by living with purpose, guided by reason, and contributing to the greater good. The good life is not passive. It's a lifelong project of becoming your best self. Now, here's where things get interesting. When we compare Aristotle's vision to the teachings of Jesus, we see moments of profound harmony and also some radical tension. Where they converge, Aristotle believed we are fulfilled not by isolating ourselves, but by engaging with others virtuously, through friendship, service, and shared life. He saw community as essential to human flourishing. Jesus takes that same idea and deepens it. Rather than simply living with others, Jesus calls us to live for others, to love our neighbor not just as a moral duty, but as a sacred reflection of our love for God. When Aristotle speaks of justice, Jesus goes further and speaks of mercy. When Aristotle praises courage, Jesus teaches sacrificial love, the kind that gives without expecting anything in return, and both, in their own ways, recognize that the self becomes fully alive only when it is shaped by purpose, virtue, and love. Where they diverge, but Aristotle's vision still places the self at the center. His ethics are noble, but they are focused on self-perfection. Even acts of kindness serve the goal of becoming a virtuous person, of achieving eudaimonia. Jesus, on the other hand, flips the equation. He teaches that the good life is not found by climbing toward personal excellence, but by stepping down in humility, not by ascending to greatness, but by serving the least. He says, Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Mark 10:43. And in another passage, greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. John 15:13. That's not just virtue, that's surrender, a real-life example. Let's say you're a doctor. From an Aristotelian perspective, living well as a doctor means using your knowledge skillfully, ethically, and for the good of your patients. You master your craft, act justly, and grow in wisdom. That's eudaimonia, flourishing through excellence. But now imagine you're that same doctor during a pandemic. You work double shifts. You risk your own health daily. You hold the hand of a dying stranger when no one else can be in the room. That's not just excellence, that's love. That's what Jesus speaks of. The kind of life that's poured out for others, not for applause, not even for moral self-satisfaction, but because love demands it. In summary, Aristotle invites us to become the best version of ourselves. Jesus invites us to lose ourselves in love, and yet maybe both are pointing to the same mystery from different angles, that a life of purpose, of virtue, of connection, ultimately finds its deepest meaning when it forgets itself and gives itself away. So we're left with a question: is the highest human potential achieved through mastery or through mercy? And that's just the first voice in this conversation. Next, we'll hear from a philosopher who believed that the good life isn't found in excellence or even in effort, but in the quiet pursuit of pleasure and peace. Don't go anywhere. Second, Epicurus, Epicureanism. Epicurus, a thinker from ancient Greece, offered a refreshing and often misunderstood view of what makes life good. Contrary to popular belief, Epicurus did not promote reckless indulgence. Instead, he taught that the good life is about balanced pleasure and the absence of pain, both physical and mental. At the core of Epicurean philosophy is ataraxia, a state of serene tranquility and freedom from anxiety. To achieve this, Epicurus emphasized the importance of prioritizing simple pleasures, close friendships, self-sufficiency, and quiet moments of peace. These pleasures, he argued, are the most reliable and lasting sources of happiness. Equally important is the avoidance of vain desires, such as the endless pursuit of fame, wealth, or power, which often lead to stress and suffering. Instead, Epicurus encouraged people to live modestly, focusing on what truly matters for inner calm, where Epicurus and Jesus align. Surprisingly, Epicurus and Jesus share common ground in their rejection of materialism and excessive desire. Jesus famously warned against storing treasures on earth and encouraged generosity and contentment. Both teach that true fulfillment is found not in accumulation, but in meaningful relationships and spiritual peace. Epicurus found joy in his garden, with trusted friends, much like Jesus found community among the marginalized. Both show us that a simple life rich in connection is a life worth living, where they differ. Yet Epicurus's ideal life seeks to avoid suffering and maintain tranquility at all costs. He advises stepping away from pain and conflict to preserve peace of mind. Jesus' path, however, embraces suffering as part of love's journey. He entered into human pain willingly, healing the sick, comforting the broken, and ultimately sacrificing himself. For Jesus, the good life involves self-giving, even when it leads to hardship. A real-life example: consider a healthcare worker who finds deep satisfaction in caring for others, even under stressful conditions. While this might disrupt personal tranquility, something Epicurus might caution against, it reflects Jesus' call to serve and love regardless of cost. In summary, Epicurus teaches us the power of simplicity, friendship, and moderation for a peaceful life. Jesus adds that sometimes true peace comes through sacrificial love, finding joy not only in pleasure, but in purpose beyond self. Next, we will explore the Stoics, who bring a unique perspective on resilience, control, and acceptance. The Stoics Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, from the gardens of Athens to the imperial courts of Rome, the Stoics forged a philosophy of resilience and reason in a turbulent world. Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius taught that the good life depends less on external circumstances and more on how we master ourselves. At the heart of Stoicism lies the idea of prohairesis, our ability to control our own will, judgments, and emotions. The Stoics believed that while we cannot control everything that happens to us, we can always control how we respond. This inner power is the foundation of true freedom. They urged us to live in harmony with nature and the cosmos, accepting what is beyond our control with calm reason and focusing our energy on what we can influence, our own character, choices, and attitudes. Where Stoicism and Jesus agree, there's a striking resonance between Stoic wisdom and the teachings of Jesus, especially regarding acceptance and inner peace. Jesus taught to take up your cross and follow me, Matthew 16:24, inviting his followers to embrace hardship without losing faith or hope. Like the Stoics, Jesus emphasized self-control and the transformation of the inner life. Both philosophies encourage detachment from worldly anxieties and reliance on a higher order or divine will. Stoic Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you and love the people with whom fate brings you together." Jesus similarly called for love and forgiveness even amid suffering, where they diverge. But here is where Stoicism and Jesus part ways. The Stoics promote an almost impersonal acceptance of fate, a cosmic order to which we must submit calmly. Jesus, however, presents a deeply personal God who suffers with us and acts in history. Instead of mere acceptance, Jesus offers hope and redemption. His followers are called not just to endure hardship, but to transform it through love. Jesus' message is not resignation, but active, sacrificial love that changes the world, a real-life example. Think of a firefighter rushing into danger, calm, in the face of chaos, controlling fear and focusing on saving lives. This is Stoic courage in action, but that same firefighter may also be motivated by love, putting others before self, embodying the love Jesus taught. The Stoic equips the man to face hardship. Jesus fills the heart with purpose. In summary, the Stoics show us the power of inner mastery and rational acceptance in building an unshakable peace. Jesus adds the dimension of personal love and transformative hope, turning endurance into a path of grace. Together, these philosophies challenge us to live wisely, love deeply, and face life's storms with courage. As we've seen through the wisdom of Aristotle, Epicurus, the Stoics, and the profound teachings of Jesus, the question, what makes life good, is more than a philosophical puzzle. It's a living journey. Aristotle invites us to fulfill our potential through virtue and reason. Epicurus shows us the quiet power of simple pleasures and peace. The Stoics teach the strength found in mastering ourselves and accepting what we cannot change. And Jesus calls us beyond all of this to a life defined by radical love, self-sacrifice, and hope that transforms suffering into meaning. These ideas don't just coexist. They challenge and deepen each other, revealing that the good life is not a single path, but a rich tapestry woven from courage, joy, resilience, and above all, love. Choosing this path means stepping beyond comfort, beyond fear, and embracing a life that matters, not only for ourselves, but for everyone around us. If this message resonated with you, if you feel inspired to live with deeper purpose and love, then join this journey. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to be part of a community seeking truth and transformation. By doing so, you're not just clicking buttons, you're affirming your commitment to a better life, a better world. And that is the most powerful step anyone can take. Thank you for watching. Let's walk this path together.